Hello there. Um, Last night, for about 5 hours, me and quite a few other people discussed various topics regarding PB, Persistent Bannerlord, for those of you who don't know. And there was a lot that was said, some of which was written down, and the board that we used was public, and so while it has expired from now, the archive has failed. Um, but we have the screenshots, and so enough to piece together what was said and to be able to keep that conversation alive. In an attempt to do that, I'm basically just summarizing the biggest concepts and the TLDR, if you will, of the whole conversation. So, with no further ado, I suppose we get into it. What you see on the main part of your screen now is an overview. This is the screenshot zoomed out of the whole board. Obviously, the biggest concepts, perhaps jokingly, perhaps seriously, but I mean, jokes have their basis in some kind of truth. Um, as you can see here, the biggest things were that, firstly, Soul loves iron. They're quite close. And iron doors. Um, this was a security thing. This was a an anti. This was a way to give places a little bit more security, so that they couldn't be as easily taken over. And the exchange for that was, many other things. I won't get too much into it. That particular point in the discussion took place around the around 4 hours mark, 4 hours after 4:30. In the archive, it did cut out quite a bit because the internet failed for a second, and so a piece of it, a chunk, was left out. Although there's enough still that was caught to get the essence of what they meant when they said iron doors, which is basically places should be less easy to take over just individually. Um, and yes, I can't remember exactly the whole part around that one. But secondly, secondly, the provincial system was something that we harped on from the beginning to the very end. It was mentioned from question one all the way through to the end, and it shows up here in as the biggest kind of text, I guess, that has been repeated over the course of the discussion. Provincial system, the provincial system, using correct grammar, is a system that we previously saw most prominently in FK, and I think also, I think it was Feudal Kingdoms, and it was essentially where most of the, I guess, resources, the influential levers of power for a particular region were kept, not insular, but there was everything you needed to enjoy the game within one kind of area, and there was multiple of those areas. So that's what we meant by like provinces, where you were kind of influenced to interact in a certain dynamic with the central structure, whether it be like a city or a castle, with surrounding villages, or major castles and minor ones. That kind of difference in the um, stratification, is it? Yeah, stratification of the holdings that you could have, from village to like minor castle to major castle to city or whatever. Whatever way they did it, it was enforced by the map and by the terrain, a dynamic of having, open areas encouraging travel, but also not necessitating travel, uh, which left it up for player interaction, to drive most of the global events or most of the movements that were going on between provinces or something like that. Without getting too far into the provincial system itself, because I don't even know much about it, maybe we'll have another show just dedicated to that. The provincial system is indeed a key holding point for the conversation we had. We'll move on now to the individual pieces. Oh, here we go. Soul loves iron, and they are quite good at graffiti. ChrisIron, by the way, says to remove the council chat, down with clan leader influence. Not everything is supposed to be balanced. Interesting. I didn't read that on stream. Well, I probably saw it, but there was no time to address everything. Those points, this is not video, it was not for me to even address those points, let alone debate them, but that's what he said, and that's what is big on the picture. So, these are the quotes. I suppose you should probably pause if you actually want to read the quotes, but over the course there were things mentioned, things said before this discussion that were mentioned here, or things said here that were particularly impactful toward the conversation, and then the achievement, the solution to the problems that we were here to discuss. So those quotes might be important for the future. Maybe just ones to give the people their thumbs up, show them your love. The debate, we only had one of these. I should have prepared a few more because we did end up having a lot of debates that were a little bit unstructured. But the one debate that we did manage to have was whether or not coalitions should be encouraged. And that means specifically coalitions within persistent servers. And you can read all the conditions there. There are negative conditions and positive conditions. So not universally, not entirely. But in general, should people who are lesser in numbers get together so that they can present higher numbers? That's something that we talked about quite a bit, and pretty much unanimously it was yes. Although whenever they shouldn't be encouraged is essentially those situations that go against the conditions of them being permanent or them being all across the map. And everyone I think agrees that if they're map covering and if they're permanent, then that's not really why you should be doing a coalition. So, but we might have another. I'll write that down even. Another discussion for the coalition debate. What else? This is the questions and the answers. Each participant, and the participants, they did change because we had like an open table, so the same colors are different people at certain times. But in general, most of the ones in the middle, especially, did stay the same, and these were the answers that they gave to each question. Lots of these questions had sub-questions, but this format had to be tossed together, not haphazardly. I did prepare a few days before, but I didn't work in a way to answer the sub-questions as well, and I was kind of hoping that we would naturally get to all of them, but we didn't. So lessons for next time. But these were their responses to the questions that I asked, and in that video, the video archive, it'll be up forever in the live stream section. They had, or I put a link in the description to a Google form. That Google form is a survey that I put for all of the episodes, but in particular for this episode, the survey has a section with all of the questions here. These exact questions are copy-pasted into that survey, so community members can answer them and I guess have their way with them. And other than that, let's see what else we have here. That's the first one again. So, very short debrief. Very complex, actually, very wide spanning topics, but summarized, hopefully, short enough for my sparking of your interest in the discussion from yesterday. Yes. With that, I greet you farewell, Goodbye.